All right, the time is 6:30 and a quorum being present, I call this meeting to order. Do we have any approval of minutes? I don't see any. We can get right to agenda item A. Request for determination of applicability. Stephen Connors, 130 John Street, Assessors Map 58 and Lot 155. Is there anybody here for this?
That's me.
If you'd like to approach and introduce yourself.
Here.
Does it matter? Yeah.
Either one.
Yeah, either one.
Sure. I'm Stephen Connors of 130 John Street at that site.
All right. And this is just connecting to town sewer?
Correct.
All right. Is there anything you'd like to go over, Julie?
Yeah, just to elaborate a little bit further, I did a site visit to the 130 John Street property. The project would involve the abandonment of 2 septic tanks, one in the rear of the property, one in the front. At its closest, the septic tank is about 58 feet from wetlands. But if the commission were to issue a negative determination, I would just recommend installing erosion and sediment controls around the area of construction, and then notifying me prior to any construction actually occurring.
Are both septic tanks, or were they previously in use, or?
Yeah, currently in use.
All right, they are. All right.
So both of them are going to be totally destroyed, filled in?
Yep.
Okay.
I don't have any other questions. Does anybody else?
Pretty
Straightforward.
All right. Do I have a motion for a negative determination of applicability for this agenda item?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Actually, it's a public hearing, isn't it?
Oh, yes, delete that. This is a public hearing, so if anybody wants to come up and speak on this, now is your time. But I'm not seeing anybody get up about this very simple matter. So can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. All right, now, can I have a motion to, a motion for a negative determination of applicability?
With the inclusion of the conditions that Joe had stated.
Yes. The erosion controls.
I'll move that question.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You'll be in contact with him.
Yeah, I'll be in contact with you as far as issuing the permit.
Okay.
So you can either pick that up within the next day or two, or I can mail it out to you.
Okay. Perfect.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. So I don't forget, this is also a public hearing. Request for determination of applicability, Tewksbury, Massachusetts, Department of Public Works. And this is for Cayuga Road, Livingston Street, Miles Road, Oxford Road, Royal, Crest Circle, and Star Avenue. Anybody get that?
How you doing?
Hey.
So I am Arthur Marcos, I'm the project manager, work for the Public Works Engineering Division. We're actually here today because the Wetland Protection Act doesn't require us to file, but our local bylaw does, so that's why we've been in touch with Joe, and we filed this RDA. So basically, this is part of our annual roadway paving program, where we go in and use Chapter 90 funds along with town funds, and we choose roads that we're gonna pave and need to be resurfaced. Some roads need to be fully reclaimed, some roads just need to be milled and filled, but the roads that were determined from Joe that are near the wetlands, and we do anyways, we're gonna be, make sure we have our silt sacks in our catch basins, and also in the areas where we've located, we'll be putting up silt fences, and that's all covered within items in our contract as we speak. And we're not expanding the roads any, we're just replacing what's there. So I know that if you do expand, there's probably be a different type of filing, but we're not expanding the the actual asphalt in any direction.
All right. Does anybody have any questions?
I have one question. Miles Road, are you going to repair that culvert that's down there? That's always seems to be getting blocked.
There is going to be some drainage improvements as we're doing these. Miles Road does have a little bit of a puddle issue. So the public, what's going to happen is the Public Works, the Highway Division, Highway/Drainage Division will go in and do some repairs. Obviously, we don't want to repave a road and have a drainage issue on it. So I guess there is one in the beginning of that road. The water doesn't
I
really
think
get.
there's an easement that goes through somebody's yard.
Yeah, so we're gonna try to push the water just to go where it kind of is going now, but since we're repaving, we'll just get it at a better, little
Well,
better
the only
angle.
reason I asked the question is, like you just said, I don't want to spend all that money
Yeah.
paving a road and then 2 days later come dig it up again.
And, you know, this is our issue too, is we don't wanna do that either. So we've been having, a program set up now with our in-house guys, so they know ahead of time and say, all right, let's address this stuff before we pave it, because, yeah, you know, you don't want to be, have puddles after we pave too, so.
Right.
So we're trying to fix drainage issues at the same time.
On all the
On all of them, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
and there's probably about 3, 4 of them, like Cayuga has a lot of groundwater issues there, so we'll try to, you know, just through paving a newer road, you can actually grade it to go to the catch basins where it's supposed to go, you know. Stuff, now if you go to these roads, it's just pothole after pothole and settlement after settlement, and so.
Okay, that's all the questions I have, Mr. Chairman.
Anybody else have any questions or comments?
My only comments would be to install the erosion and sediment controls as you stated, whether that's a silt fence, straw wattle, or the silt sacks and the catch basins. I don't think it's necessary for me to come out and do an inspection of those. I think just use it on an as-needed basis so that it doesn't result in the sedimentation of nearby wetland resource areas. But I think that should be sufficient.
This is a public hearing, so if there's anybody who would like to speak, not seeing anybody, can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. All right, and could I have a negative determination of applicability as discussed for this? Can
So moved.
I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, public hearing, notice of intent Rui and Delia Grillo, 90 Pinnacle Street, file number 3051153. Is there anybody here for that?
Thank you. Is it okay if I sit up here, or should I get a little closer?
That's fine.
You're fine, yeah.
You guys can sit.
Could you just introduce yourself for the record?
Yep, good evening, Thor Akerley from Williamson's Barrages, and here with me is Rui and his son Isaac Grillo. They are the property owners and applicants for the project. So as the commission may recall, this was an existing single-family house lot where the work proposed was a second-floor addition off the rear of the home, a garage along the side of the home within the existing paved driveway, and then the expansion of pavement towards the, I believe, westerly side of the property, and also the resurfacing of the existing driveway within the same footprint. We had gone back and forth with DEP quite a bit. There was a recent change in how they interpreted the riverfront performance standards. Typically, on a project where you have an existing single-family home and you have portions of the property that are degraded, by paved areas, buildings, and part of it is lawn or landscaped areas, we would kind of mix up or use both the performance standards for 1058-4 and then combine that with work within the degraded areas. So essentially, we would say you're allowed to alter 10% of the non-degraded areas on the lot, and then you'd be allowed to alter the degraded areas at a different, as you please, essentially, as long as you're not going closer to the river, which is shown here in blue. What DEP had said is that on lots that are developed or improved already, they would like to see people meet the performance standards outlined in the degraded riverfront area section, which makes some sense, right? You have an existing tree line that borders the river here, and what they're saying is that basically everything on this side of the edge of disturb, which is shown as this clamshell line here, is essentially disturbed. So you're allowed 10% of alteration within the lot, or with 10% of the riverfront area that covers the lot. So we fall well under that with this proposal. We're at 3.1% total. The driveway, as we pointed out, is just a resurfacing within the same footprint, and that is considered an exempt activity under the Wetlands Protection Act. But nonetheless, one of the performance standards in 1058-5, work in degraded riverfront area, you're required to improve the existing conditions at the property and improve the function and value of the resource areas ideally. So what we did in conjunction with DEP's comments, as well as working with Joe, is provide a 1,180 square foot mitigation area, which is proposed just alongside or off the driveway here. I know it's kind of tough for the commission to probably see this, but we've tried to line it up with the area that's within BLSF. So there's a zone A that runs kind of along the driveway here, and as I mentioned, the riverfront, the mean annual high water flags are located out here. So the floodplain does stretch out a bit, and then the BVW flags are shown as this green line here attached. So what we tried to do is incorporate that mitigation area to be as close to the existing edge of disturbed area. Much of, or the entirety of where the mitigation area currently proposed is entirely within lawn. So it's basically the conversion of lawn to a planted area. This is a pretty standard construction methodology we put up here for projects such as these, where essentially they'll install the plantings within the existing lawn area and then monitor it for a period of 2 years, remove invasive species by hand, and ensure that there's a 75% survival rate of the new plantings. There is a small gap between the applicant's property and, well, technically it's also the applicant's property up here, and the property line isn't shown here, but it runs essentially out here into Meadowbrook. So there's a small area in here that is currently lawn, but we try to keep everything on the property because this is a project just for 90 Pinnacle. It's not incorporating 100 Pinnacle, which is, as I mentioned, their property, but also back here. So we tried to keep things simple, but the applicants have said that they're fine not maintaining that small strip in between the mitigation area and the existing edge of disturb there along the wetland. So that was the big piece that we worked through with Joe and DEP. So we're confident that we now meet the performance standards in the Act. And also we do comply with the town's bylaw of a 50-foot no-build zone. You can see the garage is 52.2 feet from the edge of BVW. And again, that's all or almost entirely within the existing paved driveway. The driveway itself, the existing driveway rather, stretches along this stone wall and then alongside the existing house here. And then, of course, where we have it colored. And then to gain access to the garage, they've proposed just a 860 square foot conversion of lawn and landscaped area to driveway to access the front of that garage. So I think that covers everything, but I'm happy to answer any questions. And of course, the applicants are here as well.
Cool. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
So have all your questions been answered by DEP, or is there any outstanding issues still?
So officially, we've been told that I suppose unofficially, that they're satisfied with where we're at, and they believe that we comply. I don't believe, they don't typically give you an answer as to whether you 100% comply or not, but they posted their comments, and Joe and I both had discussions with an analyst at DEP. This was kind of a weird one where we all thought it was interpreted a certain way, and things changed a little bit. So we've had an ongoing discussion with them, and he has also talked to his higher ups, and it sounds like everyone's on the same page.
Yeah, so just to elaborate a little bit further. So as Thor stated, we did have discussions with Mass DEP just to make sure we were complying with the right WPA citations. It wasn't very clear what they were asking for as far as the amount of mitigation area, what should go into the calculation of mitigation area. So we came to a conclusion with DEP, and it seems like we're all on the same page as far as like the amount of mitigation being provided is adequate. As Thor stated, some of the stuff isn't incorporated as far as alterations to riverfront. For example, the patio underneath the rear addition, which was mentioned, I believe, at the last meeting, that's considered an exempt activity. The paved driveway, it makes sense to me not to include that in an alteration because it's within an existing paved driveway. Whether that's in the bylaw or not, it's exempt from WPA, so that kind of makes sense to me. But yeah, nonetheless, Mass DEP, Thor, and I have arrived at that this seems sufficient for what's being done. If the commission were to issue an order of conditions for the project, I would suggest installing erosion and sediment controls as per the approved site plan, which shall include of properly entrenched silt fences directly adjacent to a staked straw wattle. I believe that's shown here. And then appropriate erosion and sediment control shall be implemented around areas of construction and soil disturbance in a manner that prevents the deposition of sediment from construction activities into nearby wetland resource areas. Any soil or asphalt stockpiling, I'm not sure if you've mentioned that, shall not be located closer to the river than the erosion and sediment controls are marked on the site plan. And then prior to any construction activity commencing, erosion and sediment controls should be installed or shall be installed by the applicant or an agent of the applicant, and then inspected and approved by myself. And then the implementation of the planting plan, I recommend that this be the first construction activity for the entire project, aside from installing erosion and sediment controls, just so that it's not forgotten about a year and a half from now. And then as far as the planting plan, as you mentioned earlier, the area subject to the planting plan as detailed on the most recent site plan for the project shall achieve at least 75% vegetative growth within 2 growing seasons from when the planting plan is first implemented. Once the planting plan is first implemented, annual monitoring reports shall be submitted to the conservation agent thereafter. Monitoring reports should summarize activities conducted to date relative to the planting plan and what additional monitoring activities may be needed in order to achieve at least 75% vegetative growth. If sufficient vegetative growth is not achieved over the first 2 growing seasons from the planting plan was first implemented, additional planting efforts shall continue in addition of the requirement to submit annual monitoring reports until 75% vegetative growth or greater is achieved. A certificate of compliance shall not be issued until all work related to implementing the planting plan is achieved. And the planting plan must be overseen by a qualified wetland scientist. Coordinate with the conservation agent when the planting plan is anticipated, just so I can be part of that when it's first kicked off. And I also suggest the certificate of compliance issued for this project shall include an ongoing condition which prohibits further alteration to the project area subject to the planting plan in perpetuity, except as being required to maintain the area in its mitigated condition. So for that last condition, it's just the mitigation area should be a mitigation area in perpetuity. It can't later be altered by a separate project.
I know that was a lot, but are you guys okay with all of that?
Yeah.
All right, this is a public hearing, or unless anybody else has any questions. I'm good. All right, this is a public hearing, so if there's anybody who would like to speak, not seeing anybody, could I have a motion? Oh, if you want to speak on this, I ask that you come up and introduce yourself.
You mean to sit over there?
Yeah, at the podium.
Is that mic live?
I'm sorry, at the podium
Podium.
Podium.
behind you.
Sure.
My name is Michael Ambiaso, and I live at 30 Lynn's Way, which is directly opposite the building under question at 90, and where the work is going to be done. So I have some questions and some concerns, and I'd like to ask the questions one at a time and get an answer if that's possible. So is anyone going to be living at number 90 Pinnacle?
Yes.
Okay, so that's going to become still a permanent residence?
Yes.
Yes. Is it going to be rented out?
No.
No, all right. So will there be a business at number 90? Will there be a business located at number 90 Pinnacle?
Yeah,
In terms of what, like?
Well, I understand that,
sir, this is the Conservation Commission, so your questions have to pertain to the conservation area. I don't think a business being out of a house or anything like that is what we're here to discuss.
will there be a separate hearing, public hearing for these questions?
To my knowledge, there isn't a public hearing for the planning board, for example, if that's what do you have questions about like the zoning of the
Yes.
property?
Yes? Because I believe it's zoned for either residential or business, actually industrial.
Okay. I guess this public hearing would be pertaining to strictly just whether them doing the additions onto their house are okay in accordance with our wetland protection bylaw and with the Wetland Protection Act from the state.
So there'll be another time when I can address these questions.
There wouldn't be from our perspective, and if there would be, it would be from a zoning or planning perspective, and I don't think there is a public hearing for this project in relative to planning or zoning.
Okay, so it's handled internally.
Well, I would assume that if they
Yeah,
planned on having a business, they would have to apply for a license.
Exactly.
all right.
Yeah.
And
But, yeah, if they were to apply for a business, then I believe they would have to go through the planning board, but we can't discuss that because that's a hypothetical other public hearing that we are, I guess, not concerned about at this
I
moment.
understand.
It's just the Conservation Commission only has the purview of considering projects under the Tewksbury Wetland Protection Bylaw and the Wetland Protection Act. So discussing zoning or anything else pertaining to zoning or planning would kind of be inappropriate for the commission to
Sure.
discuss or make a decision on. So,
Okay, well, that brings me to my concerns then.
okay.
One of which is about surface runoff that's created by the increased driveway and garage roof
Okay. So that is pertaining to conservation.
Right.
So from a Wetland Protection Act standpoint, they are exempt from compliance with the Massachusetts stormwater standards because it's work for a single-family home, and that is specifically exempt from the stormwater standards. As far as runoff outside of those standards, I mean, I think the commission can feel free to express their opinion as well, but I don't think it would be substantial enough to warrant any sort of like other stormwater device that would manage that. It seems like there's enough buffer in between the existing driveway and the river where that volume of water may be infiltrated, but I guess that seems reasonable to me. But if the commission has any other opinion.
I agree with you, Joe.
Yeah, it's existing.
I mean, we're adding approximately 860 square feet to the driveway, and that's as far away from the river, I believe, as we can get. So I don't see any concerns.
Any other questions?
Yes, about the proposed erosion control pin location. It seems like that's not going to be on their property. Interpreting from the diagram, is that correct?
There's a very small section that looks like it goes into 100 Pinnacle. Is that what
Yes.
you're pointing out? Based off the site plan, that is accurate. Like what you just said is accurate.
So that's accurate and that's allowed?
Considering that he owns the
He owns.
property, and if he's okay with that, then yes. These are temporary measures. They're not permanent
Oh,
fences. Yeah.
I see.
Yep. So they're temporary measures just to prevent any disturbed soil during the construction process from flowing down into the river. But once the soil is stabilized, the erosion and sediment controls get removed.
Sure, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to speak on the public? All right. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. All right, and could I have a motion to approve the notice of intent as discussed for Rui and Delia Grillo of 90 Pinnacle Street, DP file number 3051153.
To include the standard order conditions 1 through 5, 9 through 19, and the special conditions A through D, and D being the mitigation area in perpetuity.
Yeah. Everything that I say.
Yes, as discussed.
As stated. Thank you.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you all very much. Thanks, Joe, for your hard work on this one.
Yeah, thanks, Sorry. That's where the as discussed.
I'm not repeating it. All right. This next one has, they asked us to continue to the next hearing, to the next meeting. So could I have a motion to continue this notice intent for Vale Street, DP file number 3051154 to the next meeting on March 23rd?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair
May I
votes
ask a
aye.
question on it?
Yeah.
Are there only 2 continuations allowed per application?
So theoretically, they can continue however long that they want.
I thought I read somewhere there's only 2 allowed.
Yeah, I think the commission had developed a policy where if they continue again, so if they didn't show up to the next meeting and they wanted to continue, a representative would have to show up for the next one to discuss it.
All right. Agenda item E, public hearing, a request for determination of applicability, Civil Design Consultants, Inc. Of Andover on behalf of Trollbrook Golf Course. And there's, introduce yourselves for the record.
Good evening. I'm Mira Cousins with Civil Design Consultants.
Roy Trull from Trollbrook Golf Course.
So we're here for a request for a determination of applicability for the project located at the Trollbrook Golf Course. So the site is located in the R40 zoning district. The combined area of both 160 and 170 River Road is approximately 127 acres. So the project consists of the construction of a new driveway alignment to access a proposed 200-space parking lot. We're also proposing to reconfigure the existing parking lot, drainage facilities, utilities, and landscaping. So a stormwater management system is proposed to mitigate the impacts of the entire project. So back in December of 2021, Mr. Fontaine, Norse Environmental, and I walked the site. An off-site isolated wetland was located across River Road on the property at 197 River Road. So the associated 100-foot wetland buffer zone crosses onto the project area at the existing parking lot. The local 50-foot and 25-foot buffer zones do not cross onto the property. So the work proposed within the 100-foot buffer zone includes the reconfiguration of the existing parking lot to bring it into compliance. The proposed work will result in a decrease of approximately 710 square feet of impervious area within the 100-foot buffer zone. So based on this minor activity, we're hoping that the commission issues a negative determination of applicability for the project. So with that, happy to take any questions.
So just to kind of reiterate what was just said, we did do a site visit back in December 2021. There is essentially just one wetland across the street from River Road that would put part of the parking lot upgrades within the 100-foot buffer and within the commission's jurisdiction, hence the RDA. The proposed erosion and sediment controls, it looks like there's just going to be a general perimeter control of like straw wattle or silt fence, which seems appropriate. And then there's that one catch basin, which it seems like it just connects to a drainage system on River Road and does not discharge into that wetland. Nonetheless, having the silt sack in the catch basin would help, as you proposed. So I don't see an issue with this project, but I still suggest the conditions of installing erosion and sediment controls as per the approved site plans, which should include or shall include of a properly entrenched silt fence or staked straw wattles in addition to the installation of the silt sacks. The erosion and sediment control shall be installed around areas of construction and soil disturbance as to prevent the deposition of sediment from construction activities into nearby wetland resource areas. And then prior to any construction activity commencing, the following must be completed. The erosion and sediment controls shall be installed by the applicant or an agent of the applicant in accordance with special condition number 1. And coordinate with the conservation agent, myself, to inspect and approve the erosion and sediment controls. The one question I actually did have is, the application says it converts, it's a net decrease in impervious surface. I just, do you know where that is on the site plans? I just couldn't kind of figure that out.
So it's just the area within the 100-foot buffer zone.
Okay.
We have a net decrease.
Okay. All righty.
Any other questions or comments?
No, straight up. No, it's pretty straightforward.
This is a public hearing. If there's anybody who would like to speak or ask a question. Not seeing anybody.
I'm just going to ask
Oh, yep, sorry.
I'm Michelle Mackey. I live across the street on 20 Yorkie Way. So myself and my two neighbors have water issues right now because we live on River Road. And the road was resurfaced, and they put up a berm to try to deter the water from going into Pete Bilecki's basement and to keep it out of the cruises. I way set back. I'm out of the water coming into my home. I know that I can't see these plans, like to visualize what's going on and what the plan is for building on the other side of the tennis plaza thing. So I kind of need more information to be able to ask valuable questions. Like the other gentleman, I need to find out more about what the intent is and what the plan is for what the changes are over there. I don't have a problem with it right now, but I just need to know. How do I know? How do I find out all this information? I know you talked about a planning board, and is there approval, or once they leave here, they're good to go, set up your catch basin, set up all your things, and you're good? What happens?
So as far as being able to obtain information relating to the project, you can contact.
We did, and there's a map on like a small, here's a map, like of what the plan is with all the grading and.
Yeah,
all that
the site plans for the project.
Yeah. Because I
you can-
can't see it on a computer.
Yeah, you can contact myself, the conservation, or community development office, and you can ask for the conservation agent. And I can either send you the plans electronically, or if you don't like the electronic version, I can blow up a version
I
for you.
tried for an hour before I came here to try to see, and I just,
Okay. Yeah, I can print out a bigger version for you if you come down in person. But as far as tonight, yes, the project, do you want to elaborate more on the project? I know there's only a small portion of the project that actually falls within the commission's jurisdiction. But if you wanted to explain more about like the intent of the project.
There is a planning board meeting.
Okay.
Did you receive notice about the planning board meeting?
Yeah, March 14.
okay. So then we're going to talk about what the real intent of this revision is?
So similar to what was said before, the commission's jurisdiction falls just within the 100-foot buffer zone, and we just approve if the project is in compliance with the bylaw and the Wetland Protection Act. As far as what's in the 100-foot buffer zone, it's just pavement upgrades to the existing parking lot. I know the project involves adding a parking lot, but that's outside of the commission's jurisdiction.
Right.
So it's not within our jurisdiction to talk about it.
Okay, so all the water, let's just stick with the water.
Sure.
So there's a lot of water running in the front of the club and our properties, the three of us. There was a big issue with the water that goes down to Trell Brook, and all those retaining walls were built. Remember all that? That happened a few years ago. So now with an additional elevated parking lot on the other side of that tennis building, I have concerns if we're on the other side on the downhill of it.
Okay.
So I don't know if that is in this part of your purview, but it does concern me and my neighbors that it's just going to be more water.
Yeah.
The runoff and all that, I know they can save it, and then they grow grass, and it takes, and it's good after. But is the water going to go around now this elevated parking lot and come right into Pete's basement additionally?
Sure.
I'm just pointing out
Yeah.
what I think in my mind might happen.
So in regard to stormwater, stormwater can fall within the commission's jurisdiction to talk about. In this particular case, it wouldn't, because where we have jurisdiction, all the water is captured by that catch basin and doesn't discharge into a wetland area. So because of that, we don't have jurisdiction to talk about it. And as far as the larger like stormwater compliance, that if it's not captured by conservation and if it triggers, I forget the threshold, but it can fall within the planning's jurisdiction where our town engineer reviews stormwater reports, stormwater design and compliance with certain standards.
Okay, typically.
Yeah, okay, yeah, so, and I think, is there a stormwater report for the project?
Yes.
Okay.
That was submitted to the
Okay.
planning submittal.
So I imagine that that part of the project would be discussed at the planning board. So,
Real quick, what is the options of hypothetically, we approve this tonight, there is an appeal period? So like, just to let her know that there's, you know, if she reviews the plans and finds something, there is a method of, you know,
sure,
questioning
Yeah.
our decision.
yeah, so,
I don't know the specifics on that.
yeah, so, if the project is approved from a Conservation Commission perspective tonight, there is still a 10-day appeal period from the date of issuance from when the permit is issued. So that begins the day after it's issued, and there's a 10-day appeal period for abutters to appeal the decision made by the Conservation Commission. But that being said, it seems like your concerns more or less fall with the planning board's jurisdiction.
Yes, if you say so, you're the guy, so.
That's my honest thought on,
I just want to look at the plans and
Yeah.
like a bigger picture, because I can definitely not see it online. I tried to scope in and I see, yeah.
I mean, another consideration is that
Sorry.
their project results in in the conversion of impervious to pervious surface, like a net decrease. So in some regard, that might be exempt under our bylaw and the Wetland Protection Act. So at least from within the commission's jurisdiction, they're really not changing much of existing conditions. If anything, they're improving, or by decreasing impervious surface, at least within our jurisdiction.
Decreasing impervious.
So decreasing the amount of asphalt.
Less pavement, right.
But they're putting in another one.
But that's outside of our jurisdiction. So I know that's kind of weird, but that is what it is.
Yeah, I would suggest calling Town Hall tomorrow, and you can speak to Joe, and he can forward you the plans, or you can come down and he can print you out larger
Yeah, I'm
plans.
gonna need a printout,
Yeah.
because I can't scan around, like, I couldn't follow it.
Yeah. We can print you off like a 2-foot by 3-foot
Wow, I don't know.
plan. Yeah, it's pretty big.
If your resources allow, because I just want to understand what they're proposing, and I don't know if your driveways are all on there too, what you're proposing and whatnot, because that's a huge concern, which I know is for the planning board, so.
I can talk to her after the meeting.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Anybody else? Not seeing anybody. Anybody on the commission have any questions or comments?
I have nothing.
All right. So can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. All right, and could I have a motion for a negative determination of applicability? And how am I going to phrase this, please? What are the conditions that you spoke about?
I guess if you were to approve it, it would be installing the erosion and sediment controls as per the site plans, and having me inspect it and approving of
You
them,
guys are
essentially.
okay with that?
Yes.
All right, so can I have a motion for a negative determination of applicability as discussed at the meeting for this project?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
One quick question for you. Your last name is Trull?
Yes.
All right, so Trull Brook is named after your family, and the golf course is named after your family.
Yeah, my father built a golf course,
Oh.
correct, yeah.
I didn't know that Trull was a family besides from.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if they named the brook ran through there and the mill, there was a mill on the brook, sawmill
Alright.
and grist mill also. So that may have got the name there. I'm not exactly sure how it got named Troll Brook, but
Thank you.
Thank you.
Was it closed, public hearing?
Yes, the public hearing was closed. All right. And now, for this next one, Dennis, you're going to recuse yourself.
Oh, I'm good.
All right. This is a public hearing for an abbreviated notice of resource area delineation, Norse Environmental Services of Tingsboro, on behalf of O'Brien Homes. There's no DEP file number, so we will not be approving of.
There is one recently, it's,
Oh,
but
we haven't gotten it yet.
Good evening. My name is Kevin O'Brien from O'Brien Homes. Maureen Harold could not be here tonight, and I understand that from what she talked about earlier today, that you're going to have a consultant engineer look at this before the next meeting, and we did not have a problem with that being done.
yeah, that would be something that the commission would need to approve of.
All right.
Hiring the third-party consultant to review the project, and that was my recommendation.
All right. So how do we approve that?
I think it's a
Well,
formal.
he has to, the thing's gonna be continued, but it's gonna be up to Joe to get Bill Manuel or whoever the vendor is that will cover the town to view the plans that were
All right,
submitted.
we don't have to approve those funds tonight
No,
or
no, no.
anything. Yeah, this is,
We're not gonna be paying for it.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
All right.
So, we can continue it to the next meeting based on the town of Tewksbury's wetland scientist goes out and confirms the wetlands that Norse Environmental did. That's basically all we gotta do.
All right.
So the application is for wetland delineation, for a 100-year floodplain, and for riverfront, just to be clear.
All right, so, I guess,
But we can't delineate anything until we get our results back.
Yeah.
You know?
so I'll take could I have a motion to continue this into the next meeting of March 23rd, 2022, or whenever a wetland scientist can go and delineate it?
You know, continue it. I'll make a motion to continue it to the next meeting because Bill's usually pretty good.
I think we also might just want to open the public hearing. But I think we're under certain timeframes to open the public hearing, once the
Oh, yeah.
application is filed.
All right.
But just not close the public hearing, that's all.
Right. But as soon as you announce it, that's opening the public hearing, basically.
Oh,
You can open it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I will open the public hearing, whether I didn't do it officially or not. I will give anybody the chance to speak on behalf of this, or not on behalf of this, but to ask questions. Not seeing anybody get up, though. Yeah, so I will, can I have a motion to continue this until the next meeting on March 23rd?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. All right,
thank you.
thank you.
I guess
Oh,
for
yeah.
that. I was gonna say something about the last project. Is it okay if I do that? Probably.
The the one we.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that, I'll be in coordination with Norse and just evaluate weather conditions, because sometimes in winter, it's obviously not the best time to.
All right.
So,
They understand that.
Yeah.
You've discussed that with them, that, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. All right,
I don't know where Mr. Shan is.
at the Economic Development.
Is anyone here for Vale Street?
Yeah.
Yep,
Continued again?
Yep.
yes.
We announced that at the beginning of the meeting, and I think you must have walked in after it. Yeah. Sorry about that.
I went online, I didn't see anything that said canceled on it. I went this morning, it was still on, and
Yeah, they canceled like 3:30 today, so the,
you didn't have time.
the agenda can, so.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sorry about that. Theoretically, March 23rd. Actually, someone has to show up for that.
One has to
public
show
hearing,
up the
so-
next one.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any old business? Would this technically fall under?
I mean,
I'll say it's old business. Evan, would you like to present on this?
Sure. So I just mocked something up real quick on Visio. So if the commission wants to change the design any way, shape, or form, it can easily be done at this point in time. Gave a couple color options depending what the commission feels is most appropriate, but size, shape, anything can be discussed and modified. So we can have a standard moving forward.
okay, did you get this?
This is the medallion discussion?
No, I didn't.
Yes. Did you have something to present too?
No, I'm sure it's gonna be great.
That's from Dennis.
All right.
Those are the existing ones that QCO has.
Did you see these?
No.
Yeah, those are in your packet there.
Oh, they're in, okay.
I mean, I like it just the way it is, but I like the yellow one. But in a fade area, you see where the emblem down the bottom, the town of Tewksbury Incorporated 1734?
Yeah,
Is there any way to fade that
into the background.
into the background?
Yeah,
He's the expert, I
Yeah.
don't know.
I can do that.
Oh, all right.
I mean, I think it would look, you know,
You're
'cause it's a
you're
town.
talking about putting the establishment of the town in the background?
Yeah.
Just the horse part with the Indian on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
See what we can do. We'll make some moves.
We got some graphics going
Yeah,
on.
in general though, in general, I do like the medallion design. I think it's like, it allows the flexibility. It has the generality where we could put it at the 100-foot buffer zone, 50, 25, or the
Right.
wetland resource itself. And this is, again, this has come up with the 390 Kendall Road property where the condition was to put a medallion at a resource area boundary where we didn't have anything to provide really. So, and I guess just to review the notes at the bottom as well, the post requirements, and I think those are all good.
So the next question, when you do decide, how are you gonna handle it? They gonna have some made up and you keep them, and you sell them to the customer, or?
No, so this would be at the expense of the applicant. It would just provide them a template for,
Yeah.
they could just go to the
They're
sign
gonna
store
have
and
to go to
say,
the-
yeah. They could just say, hey, can you make this for me? And,
So you would make this a condition,
Correct.
yeah, the commission would make it.
would make it a condition to
project.
install these?
Yeah, you just wanna make them like a standard for one, you.
Yeah.
Right, no, understood, but it would be in black and white. And you would view it,
Yeah, black and white.
right, you know,
figuratively, yeah.
because a lot of the times with black and white, I mean, no ambiguity. They will be placed,
Yeah, yeah. And
That's what
certain
I mean,
projects
black and
it's
white.
More warranted.
because I see most of the things we're seeing is, a lot of people don't know
Yeah,
they're wetlands.
right, exactly. That's part of the
and-
purpose, yeah.
Right, for like the first one I viewed, the individual filled in the wetlands,
Yep.
and I didn't know.
Yeah. Actually, just that makes me think of, if we do the background with the Tewksbury emblem, that might make it more expensive for the applicant. That seems like a lot of detail.
do we want to make this as our recommended medallion design?
I think
but
that's all
not
we can do
holding
is
them
right.
To like, oh, we're gonna reject your, whatever, if you don't have this exact design. It's just, this is our template for providing to any
And you want
applicants.
to.
I think you would want to standardize.
You know?
You would want to standardize it? Right.
I think there is value in standardizing it, because if you look at one area of Tewksbury, they have different designs and sign sizes.
Yeah, but I do something now, I make my own, you know what I mean? Like you say, if you should be standard, it's my thought, you know?
Yeah.
It should be standard if it's a requirement from this board. You know
Yes,
what mean?
I agree.
If the guy is 100 feet away and he has boulders out there, there's no sense in him putting up a sign. The only other comment I would say on the thing is that I wouldn't limit it to a pressure-treated wood or a 4x4. I would say that you could have a metal stake, like they do with the chicken coops or something, those green poles.
Like this, yeah, you put the signs on, sure.
Yeah, so I would give them the option. And again, that would be our recommendation, I don't know if we would make it mandatory unless we put it in the conditions itself. We should probably give the applicant an opportunity to speak on.
Are we gonna allow them to put them on a 2x4 is what your question, right?
Well, no, here it says, it requests a medallion should be mounted on a 4x4 post that is 24 inches above ground, 24 inches below ground. Post shall be pressure-treated wood. I like the idea, but I think some areas, you might not be able to do it.
At least the 4x4 is gonna last a long time, outlast us.
Yeah.
But, what Pat's saying is fine too, that's gonna last.
So you want to
I
give
think they
the,
would have to prove to us that they can't put in that post.
That's right, that's
Yeah,
what
they
I
would have
mean.
to prove to us that they need some variance for it.
Yeah, I like that. Like, I understand the flexibility, but I think the standardization of a post too is valuable. But I understand if it's absolutely like they need a metal stake for whatever reason.
You're gonna go out there and they're gonna be a grade stake with that, sign, you know what I mean? So-
right.
How long's a grade stake gonna last?
No, I agree, I agree. You want to make it permanent,
Yeah.
essentially. And sticking a pipe in the ground and wiring it to it,
Yeah.
Duct tape.
I've seen some weird stuff.
But does, I guess, are we sticking with the simple design here, or do we want to blend in the emblem in the back?
I do think the emblem in the back is gonna be difficult for, some applicants to adhere to. Could we have two designs, one with the emblem, one without, and
Well, Mike,
leave it up?
I think simply, fiscal responsibility. Could we look at the price of doing one versus the other and see if it's a burden? I mean, it could be $5 or
Yeah,
$3,
yeah.
because you're imposing this burden on the applicant. So you want to be fiscally responsible.
He already has the burden, so we're not imposing any burden.
Yeah.
Well,
He already has.
no, you're imposing a real-world cost.
Well, all right, so I guess this hypothetical, is there anybody, or do you think there's any applicants who, when they get through everything, they go, I can't afford this on top of everything else? Like, to me, that's not a big enough a burden.
But see,
for,
as a person, all money does matter. And, there may be people that are on a very, very, very structured budget or something like this. And I don't want to what I'm saying is I don't want to throw an extra $500 on them.
Yeah,
I mean, a 4x4 is what? $40-50 now. I mean, be honest with you, 2 feet.
2 inches in the ground.
I'm trying to apply some common sense, and I love the standard, and I love Pat's idea of being a little flexible on the mounting. If what happens to the run ledge? How are you going to put a 4x4 in? But I like the idea of the town established. I think everyone does. I just, I guess I'd have to just say, if it's a difference of a couple of dollars, it's not. But if it's $20 an extra an emblem, you'd have to visit it. That's all.
all right.
So I guess next steps for deciding what action should be taken in order to come to a final decision? Do you?
And I believe those are mounted on a small piece of steel. I'm not quite sure.
I don't know.
The template that we had from Dick had that pressure treated wood.
Yeah.
As
Oh,
a
was it?
standard. and
Yeah, that's-
on the
okay.
design. That's where that came from.
So,
But again, you know, I like the idea of the pressure-treated wood. Even the incident when we had the IRA people in last week, but they had a fence that was already there. So I want to have the flexibility. They can glue it to the fence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just don't want to say, we're mandating that you do it this way.
yeah, I think, okay, I agree with that.
I think you can mandate the emblem itself, but how it's affixed, everything changes. You know, like I said,
Yeah.
you get a fence, or you put your 4x4 post in, and I think when we saw those tires and stuff, there was a fence that was running along that thing, which happened to be 4x4 posts. Don't know if they're 24 inches
Yeah.
above or below the ground, but they had the thing coming across where they could affix those to that fence.
Pat, they could put them right into the post of the fence, right? Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying? Yeah, that'd be secure.
I think the language should be that it's, you know, unless there's reason to deviate from the post, such as that, then you can deviate if there's good reason, sort of.
Yeah.
That way, it's still.
You just add a note that mounting requirements can be,
Yeah.
can be
Right.
pretty much determined at the Conservation Commission's
Discretion. Yeah.
We want to add like.
And these would be all viewed post at your visit to the site, correct?
Yeah, I photo document mine.
Okay.
Site visits and stuff, so that would be if it's part of the condition, we need to make sure that they're in compliance with that condition before issuing a certificate of compliance.
Understood. No, I was just
Yep.
fine-editing it.
So as far as medallions, so again, the next steps, are we suggesting that I go contact like a sign place and see what the cost difference is, or do we want to?
I would just run down to it, to gaff there, because they have to be aluminum, and I would do a little more research on what is the cost of the sign, what is the cost of the sign with the emblem in it, what is the cost of the sign without the emblem, what is it, the color, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it
Just
depends what order you do,
Just get
too.
an estimate,
Yeah,
so
we
at
ordered
least
a
we have
bunch of them,
some type of financial information, and we can make a better decision.
Made by Roper, but the problem is, he doesn't want to make like one or two, you know.
Right, he wants to make 100, right?
Yeah, at least, yeah, right, exactly. So, you know, do what you want to do, but there's got to be some type of quantity,
Okay.
price-wise, you know.
Yeah. Evan, were you saying something? You say something?
We ordered a bunch of them at work, pretty much medallions like this for catch basins, and they were like $10 a piece. But we ordered a big quantity of them as well. Just give.
Bro, you can always give them the option. We buy 100 of them, and you can sell them at cost, whatever it costs us, sell it to them. But you have the opportunity, this is where it was purchased, you can go and negotiate with him if you want, you know? But again, I think it's a starting point where we have to determine what the cost is gonna be, whether you buy one, whether you buy 10. What is the final result to the applicant, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we can tell the applicant it's $10, we can tell the applicant it's $3, you know?
Right.
So I think a little investigation on the cost is one thing, but I would still, if we go along with this, I would still buy signs, because we have conservation land in town that we are responsible for, as Foster
So
Park.
that's what I was gonna ask, is do we have a need for this? How much open space that has wetlands on
Right.
it that we could
That's, right,
say-
that's quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and whether we want to, so like, does it make sense? I'm not, I don't think we have a crucial need to go order 100 signs.
Well, not right now.
Yeah.
Let's get the financial information, and then
Yeah.
we can go from there.
Wait for the price of wood to go down, too.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's funny you say that because what I got to Pat's theory is get them green posts and we cut them in half. Because they're, you know, you can get them quite, and then just drive them into the ground as far as our property.
I'm sure the DPW has plenty of them floating around down at.
Yeah, well, that's.
So how about color? Because they're still gonna need like a color rendering for the background. Does that matter? I think,
I mean, I like brighter.
There's no red option?
Here, red. There you go. Does that look better?
What color do you have? You have red?
You can do whatever you want.
Doesn't matter what color it is, I'm colorblind.
Yeah.
All same to me.
I don't think just getting the estimate and the price and just
okay,
get one for color and non-color.
Yeah.
sure, okay.
I think what would change the price is the different colors you use in them, I'm not sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, as soon as you go color, it's all one thing. It's either color or it's not. Yeah.
All right, I guess I'll follow up with that and report back to the commission, probably at the next meeting. The next new business item was the Keolis yearly operating plan. The YOP, the yearly operating plan, describes their activities for vegetation management throughout the year. The YOP and the vegetation management plan are regulated under 333 CMR 11. The Conservation Commission has 45 days from the date of notification to respond with any comments. The site plans they provided, I don't really see an issue with it. I think the yearly operation plan is just so that they manage like vegetation from falling onto the tracks.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, this came last year when Stefania was the,
yeah,
There was a lot of issues with it.
Yeah,
They had
yeah.
to come back a bunch of times, yeah, because it goes through so many towns. That was part of the issue. I don't think there was necessarily anything wrong with their stretch in Tewksbury, but
Yeah.
I think it was just the whole entire nature that they're running through 10, 20, 30 towns that caused an issue, but. I think
cause an issue with the commission or like,
DEP.
oh,
Yeah.
well, so this is, their yearly operation plan is, it's issued, like, they have, I'm pretty sure they provide notification to DEP.
Yeah.
And like, if they're
I think
working.
it all got settled because we eventually approved it.
Yeah.
But I really don't have any other comments. I mean, I think it'd be hard pressed if we had comments for them.
There's the no spray zone. I think
Right, that's the-
originally that was a concern of ours of what that means and, you know, but it's like you can see, even the one that, I mean, I guess the Tewksbury Wilmington one seems larger, but it's still such a tiny portion of the overall, you know, tracks. It's,
Yeah. And it's for general safety of the tracks. So, assuming there's no issues with that, I have some other elements that came up after I issued the packets. A general question I wanted to bring to the commission was above-ground pools. There's been scenarios where, like, above-ground, there's like a person's property who's near wetlands and they want to put in like an above-ground pool, but because of the wetland location, pools aren't supposed to be within a 50-foot. They're considered a structure under our bylaw. And shouldn't be within 50 feet of a wetland. But I don't know what precedent has been in the past. If you guys have come across a similar scenario where someone wanted to put in an above-ground pool, so something that's collapsible, and if you guys have waived that standard before.
I think we have for an above-ground pool.
Yeah, I think we have, yeah, you're right.
What about,
An above-ground pool, not an in-ground pool.
right. So, okay. Would
But
that
we
be-
might have done it for an in-ground pool because, you know, it was the 50-foot no build zone, but only a portion it was in the 50-foot no build zone.
Okay. Is there any waiver for no disturb within that? If it's an above ground pool within an existing lawn? Or has there been a similar scenario, or?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. I just wanted to know in case, like, that situation rises to the level of me telling them to go get a permit. I just want to be able to.
Well, you still have to get a permit to put a pool in.
No, I know, but I don't want them to file an RDA, for example, just for the commission to say,
yeah,
"Oh, yes,
right.
you need to file an MO."
Yeah.
Okay, so that's fine. Last thing is,
It's gonna be pool permit season, right? Is it pool permit season?
Right around the corner.
I'm taking mine down, I'm done.
this is from Mass Mosquito again.
Oh,
Pass it
okay.
on to Dennis.
Pictures.
So this is a project for 280 Rogers Street. So that's in the top left-hand corner there where the blue is. They have like a small intermittent stream back there, and I had originally gone out to the site because the resident had some flooding issues, and there were areas in her backyard that were ponding, and the flooding was certainly, you know, it wasn't an emergency. It's not affecting anything. I don't think there was septic tanks in the backyard or anything. So I had Mass Mosquito look at it to see if that falls within their jurisdiction. They seem to think that it does. And the aerials provided from Mass Mosquito, they suggest that the stream back there was maybe agricultural at some point that goes through their yard. And I think that gives them some level of jurisdiction to just go in there and clean out the stream to alleviate some of the flooding. I don't know why the area to the right is part of the project, the part 2. That kind of seems unnecessary to do. Because we only looked at the 280 Rogers Street property. So theoretically, if this project were approved, it would be altering the area that you see as part 2, the 2,000-foot stream. And they go in there with like a low-pressure vehicle, excavate out the stream. But to me, that wasn't part of the original issue. So I think Mass Mosquito just wanted to get the Conservation Commission's opinion before actually taking action.
You know, if they should do part 2 or not do part 2, or?
Well, that's my hesitation. I
agree.
And they haven't responded to me as far as why they're doing part 2, because we only looked at part 1. So when they sent me this was entirely a surprise.
Yeah.
It's the part 2. And they're only supposed to be dealing with, like mosquito stuff. So I understand there is some flooding on 280 Rogers Street. It is a good method as far as helping out the homeowner with the flooding issues, just to scrape off maybe some of the sediment that's accumulated there. But as far as this on the other side,
It looks a much larger project.
So you're talking, they're going to do 280 Rogers Street, and then at some later point, they're going to go all the way down to this water body here, 313?
that's what they proposed.
Well, the other problem is that what if the guy at 355 Marston Street doesn't want him on their property? And the guy at 317 says, yeah, you can come on my property.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be a complete, that's why I think they would have to file.
Right.
That's a tough, I mean, I don't know if anybody lives at those properties or if it's just,
So-
there is.
I think the part 1 part, I don't know if it was once an agricultural intermittent stream, but I think it would help out the homeowner. And their backyard is maintained as lawn, even though the soils might be wetland, but it's actually, like, the vegetation is just lawn.
There's a hydrologic connection between all these wetlands. Is that gonna just create a new issue down the road? Is that why they're trying to do it? You can see a faint blue line connecting them all on the second page. Hydrologic.
Oh, yeah.
The
Yep, I
light
see.
blue line's a hydrologic connection between them all. Are they trying to do something to just get rid of the issue?
Are they,
forever?
right, are they trying to do a terminating action or give it somewhere to
You think they
go?
would go up to up above it too, because that's connected to part two, or part one.
Yeah, are they gonna say part 3 is up there?
Or are you saying, do you think they anticipate to do even more?
I'm wondering, like, because they're all connected.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't, that's why I was confused about the part 2. That's something we didn't even look at all. And she was even hesitant about part 1, whether that falls in her jurisdiction. So.
I'd get more information.
Yeah, if it's going to decrease mosquitoes, I'm all for it, but this does seem confusing.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
So if she come out and she had something, what is included in the ditch maintenance?
So typically, they just remove the sediment accumulation within the stream, and then they just toss it on the side of the bank.
How do they determine what's sediment and what's like
Yeah.
natural, like, isn't that just a stream bed or like, I can understand if you like sediment in a culvert will build up, but in a stream bed, I thought that was just the bed.
Yeah, I don't know how that's determined. I do want to pull up some pictures potentially of the site.
But the other thing too is, like I said, there's numbers of lots and properties, and something happens, who's liable? What if the water goes from one guy's yard to the next guy's yard?
Well, you could be opening Pandora's box here of providing them, these people, with fresh
What he
water.
was gonna do on Roger Street, he was just gonna remove some sediment and spray for mosquitoes, correct?
On Roger Street?
Yeah, the one
Yeah,
that
he
we,
was gonna just, yeah, exactly. Not spray, but just make
make the water
have the
flow.
stream so that it flows, exactly.
Right, so it's not stagnant.
So that, yeah, because they did show me pictures, and I did see it with my own eyes, where the water comes up and then it just sits in depressions in their
Right,
backyard.
which breeds mosquitoes.
In theory, I can't
Right,
provide
right.
evidence for that, but, so I think that's where,
Water typically does, but
yeah.
Yeah.
And is it just like a pile, like I'm thinking of like a snow blower, like you go down a path and there's just a pile of snow. Is it gonna be the same thing but with a pile of dirt, which would act as almost like an erosion control, or could adversely act as like a water prevention on one side of the stream?
Yeah, it's like, acts like a berm in a
Yeah.
sense. So that kind of helps it flow. See if I can pull up pictures. Nope.
Well, again, my thought is that you gotta have everybody involved if they're gonna do something like that under their jurisdiction, not ours, because if he starts doing the ditch maintenance and all of a sudden it goes from 285 Roger Street down to Marston Street, who's liable?
Yeah. So I think from a wetland resource perspective, I think it's like mostly reasonable to just do the 280 Roger Street one, just to alleviate some of the flooding. Otherwise, they would have to do like some permitting and all that. But if it's just limited to just scraping some of the stream and putting it on the side, I'm not opposed to that.
Sure.
If the only, because on the other side is a wetland with wetland vegetation and all, but if you put it on their maintained lawn side, then I don't think there's an issue with that. I think it helps the homeowner in a cost-effective way, and there's no real loss of like wetland resource areas. But I understand the hesitation for part two. And just beyond 280 Rockland Street. if that's-
Yeah.
All right, so I will ask more questions and get back to you. And I believe that is
Okay. With that, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well.